Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Today we are driving to the Albuquerque airport. I'm in the car with Dylan and Matt. You know Dylan from Bid Stitch.
What's up?
And you know Matt. He edits the podcast. Give these boys a round of applause. Yo! And we just are fresh out of Durango Vintage Festivus, and we are driving back to the Albuquerque airport to fly home. So we thought we'd have some time to kill in the car, and we would record a little bit of a recap of the event. So yeah, sit tight, here we go.
What time is it, Drew, for the listeners?
It's 1:52 a.m. in the morning.
What time are we getting to the airport?
4:20 actually, on the dot. Yo, we're getting to the airport at 4:20 a.m. Smoke them if you got them. So let's kick this off. Matt, give us your, you kind of got called in to come to this event super last minute because London ditched. But fucking glad he did, bud. Pound it.
Oh yeah.
Give us your expectations and your what you thought the event was going to be like.
Well, man, I don't know. Above all, I was just excited. You know, it's kind of, nervous to meet you and Dylan, and it ended up being a sick time. But honestly, after the interview with Britt, I was kind of expecting a bit of a shit show. Bit of a fire fest situation, litter strewn across the ground, trash fires, etc. But yeah, I didn't really know what to expect, but I kind of had my, my hopes were high, but my expectations were low. Let's say that.
All right, dope. So we should touch on the fact that you got to Albuquerque on the way out here 5 hours earlier than us, and then you went on a friggin' meth tour of Breaking Bad landmarks.
Yeah, a little mini tour. I hit Jesse and Jane's apartment where Jane overdoses. The dog house, little hot dog stand. They were closed, unfortunately. A couple other low-key spots from the show, just ones that were close to the airport. It was tight though.
Sweet, look tight. Dylan, what was your take coming into the event here?
Yeah, I think similar to Matt and I think everyone else who went to the event. A lot of crazy expectations. Britt is a madman, genius in disguise. I was expecting kind of like a P.T. Barnum, he makes all these crazy promises and the fill-a-bag is like one bin of clothes. The Denim Olympics is just who can hold the most jeans in their hands. The food was going to be MREs. We were going to be camping, drinking our own pee for water. But he pulled it off. I don't know how he did it. I really actually don't know how he did it. But somehow he made probably one of the most fun vintage events we've ever been to. No offense to Drew and the Old Clothing Show. We loved it. But it's different. That's like a selling event. This was like a experience. It was almost like a getaway vacation, a destination. It just happened to be in the middle of bumfuck New Mexico.
Yeah, I was. I didn't think he'd pull off all the schedule that he had put together.
And he almost didn't. It was late, but
there was some late, but the schedule got tackled. Nothing really got dropped in entirety. He actually managed to do it all, and I think so much of that was due to his showmanship and his fucking personality and his energy. He can rally the people to do shit. People got behind him. Even though maybe they weren't stoked on doing it, but then they got stoked on doing it. But yeah, expectations were low, and it was ended up being super fun.
Yeah, I think Britt had a lot to prove and probably a lot to lose, being somewhat of a notable figure in true vintage. And most of the people we talked to also didn't think that he would be able to pull it off. So I think he proved himself somehow. He made it work.
So, getting into the festival, we came in Thursday night, kind of late, so we missed the first night of the auction. We heard some stuff about the first night of the auction, that it was pretty unorganized, I guess. So maybe Thursday was like the worst of the days for that. But I think the only real event that they had on the Thursday was the auction.
Mm-hmm.
Things still sold, and it still went on, and there was I guess a big portion of it was pop-up auction, so people could just throw in any product. Any of the other vendors could just throw in last-minute product to get auctioned off, they were saying. When we rolled in Saturday morning, we went right to Britt's barn for like 8 a.m. We were there, and this was before everybody else got there. And then soon enough, trucks of people from Tico Time Campground started rolling in the bus, and we kind of got like first crack at like checking out his barn and shit. Which seems to be the reason that he started this whole thing, because he had that barn was a $1.5 million project, up from $750,000 quote that he said he got on it. So I think part of the reason the whole event was put on was to raise money to pay for that barn. What do you think of the barn?
The barn was incredibly sketchy in the middle of nowhere. Why don't you guys tell the people how we had to get up to the second floor of the barn?
Big ass ladder leaning against the side.
Literally a 15-foot ladder maybe? Just leaning up against the side of a corrugated steel barn. And we went through like a open window.
Yeah, like a big hole in the wall. Which is super weird. I was thinking about it later. I'm like, dude, you're building a barn. Did you like forget to put stairs on the plan? Did they just forget that part of the construction? Like, you're going to have to put stairs
That's why
somewhere.
it's expensive. That's what all the costs are on the stairs. But they did get a new way up there, which was like an excavator, like a backhoe, and people would just get in the, I don't know what you would call it, get in the...
Yeah, it was like a giant forklift thing,
yeah.
And then they were pulling, they had a big like wooden bucket on the end of the forklift, and then you sat in, or you stood in thing, and this guy just lifted you up to the top floor, which insanely sketchy.
I might prefer the ladder.
Lawsuit in the making on that one. But there was no casualties.
Yeah, Brett was walking around saying he was surprised that nobody got hurt, which was scary to hear at 8 a.m. on the first day of the event.
People were buying. Everyone came over and for the bus, and it seemed like everybody was grabbing huge piles of shit, buying lots of stuff. I bought a few things, yeah, that was cool. And then we headed over to the actual event, rolled into Tico Time, which first impressions, it's a very cool resort because there's lots of shit to do, but it's kind of a little ghetto, like very spread out, and seems kind of like trailer parky vibes.
Oh, it's an RV park, so like literally. I mean, that's not literally trailer park, but it's literally an RV kind of campground site. But it's definitely very hippie. There are people selling crystals and tie-dyes and bracelets all over the place.
Yeah, this place is crazy. They got the river runs right through the middle of it. They got 3 ponds with like unlimited paddle boards and rafts and shit to play on the ponds. One of the ponds has a friggin' water slide into a launch ramp. Super sick. Matt sent it onto his back multiple times.
I don't want to talk about that.
Drew on the side of his head.
Yeah, me on the side of my head. So I actually landed like face first and got water like shot through my eyeball. I thought I was gonna go blind. Then they have a friggin' zip line across the river and like through the forest. There was climbing wall with like this jump down bungee thing.
It was like 40, like, what do you say, like 40, 50 feet?
Yeah, it was pretty high, dude. And that was like attached to the zip line. There's apparently a disc golf course there, a massive stage where they have concerts. Just like a pretty massive place altogether. Pavilion where they ended up holding the auction later on, and then I guess Britt had rented these big event tents, like big wedding tents, and that's where the bulk of the vintage selling is going on. The vendors were set up. How many vendors would you say were set up when we first arrived?
What do you think, Matt?
I don't know, 10, 15?
Yeah. More people were selling out of their car, but like actual setup vendors was probably only like 10 or 15.
So yeah, like the vibe when we got there, like we walked to the campground, checked out the lay of the land. It's kind of like spread out, hard to figure out. But then when we finally got over to the zone where the vintage was happening, the event was happening, like people are kind of just mulling around, sort of like a waking up hungover vibe. Like we fucking drank a shitload of beer by the bonfire last night vibe, but super good spirits. Everyone's kind of seemed stoked to be there, and
They had a dude with a full ass espresso machine set up, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, shout out Justin. Drove all the way from New York to supply the Festivus with free coffee.
it wasn't free though. It was only free tomorrow that we missed.
All
I paid for my coffee every time.
right, well, shout out Justin for
Yeah.
driving all. He drove 30 out, no, more than 30 hours.
Shout out Justin. He's
He
a
left
super
on
good
Monday to get there on Thursday. It's crazy.
guy. Yeah.
I mean, before we even talk about the bulk sale, how much do you think Britt made just from that first hour and a half at his warehouse?
I'm guessing like 40K.
Didn't you say you heard someone, Matt, do like a 15K deal?
I think so. There was definitely a guy that dropped like 8 or 10
Yeesh.
in one go.
Yeah.
That
So
place was like a fucking Willy Wonka's vintage factory.
yeah. So Britt's place was like chalk to well, it wasn't even that overloaded. It looked like he was just putting stuff in there, but the main floor had like tons of bins of gear, and just a lot of stuff hung up, and a lot of stuff just sitting around in bins, unopened boxes of shit that looked like he hadn't checked them in a long time. The upstairs was just like an empty floor, kind of, and everyone was like throwing shit all over the place, and it seemed like some of the better shit was upstairs. I got a Mackinac like canvas 40s jacket and a HBT like officer's coat. But it's overwhelming. For me, it's overwhelming. There's just too much cool shit to even pick what you want to fucking ask about. Because everything's cool.
And it's going to be premium priced.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brett's fair, but
Yeah, but you don't want to
it's
spend,
high.
you don't want to blow like a K before the event even starts, like what the other vendors might have. Before the fill-a-bag sale, which Drew can explain how crazy that was.
Yeah, that was crazy. Okay, so we're at the event now. We're like checking out the booths, kind of like saying hi to everybody, like seeing who actually showed up and shit. It seemed to me like the crowd was like a good cross section of like some of the heavy hitters that are the OGs that are like even the generation above me, like Larry, Heller, Snappy Gabs was there, Junkyard Jeans, Eric was there, Idaho Jeans is there. He's probably more like my age, but Barn Owl was there from Seattle. Aaron Lacey was there from Portland.
There was some terrible guy from Canada there. Did you meet him?
Me? Who?
His name was Drew.
Yeah. So, there you go. But then there was mad kids, but the kids were all like this new generation of true vintage heads. It seemed like a lot of people that I didn't know. Marissa Del Santo was there from Denver with her crew. What the fuck's Golden State was there with his crew from California. I got Polos there. And if I'm not shouting you out, it's because I don't fucking know you personally. I don't know your handle, but obviously tons of other people were there. But like a very mixed cross section, like a bunch of new generations and then a bunch of the OGs. But there was no like, this event had like zero like average person customer. Like no like, I'm just here to buy
I would say it
something
was
to wear.
mostly vendors buying off each other. It was like, it's a collector's show.
Yeah, exactly. It's a collector's. It's a dealer show. Okay, so anyway, moving on to this pile sale thing. So Britt's like, you know, he's toting this 1,000-pound or multi-1,000-pound pile of clothes that he's gonna have. There was another tent set up just for it, and in the middle, like literally smack dab in the middle of his tent, is this massive pile. And I was saying it's like 4,000 to 5,000 pounds, maybe, was in that pile. They said 10,000 pounds. I don't really know, but it was a fucking big pile.
It was probably like 10 feet tall, like
Yeah,
15
10 feet
feet,
tall.
maybe it's 15 feet long.
And they were still filling it up when we got there, but eventually, I think at like 1 o'clock, the thing went on, right? And they let everybody into the tent, and there was like a caution tape around this area with the pile in it, and he had an 1800 scale to weigh everything out, even though the first people that got to go didn't have to weigh shit. So basically, though, the rules kept changing like every 2 seconds about how they were going to auction the shit off. Who can explain how we ended up auctioning off?
So they did it. I mean, I've never seen I Love Lucy. I don't know if you, Drew.
Yeah, but I don't even know what that means. He called
So
it an I Love
I
Lucy
Love
auction.
Lucy auction sale, but people were bidding, and whatever the highest bidder, the prize for being the highest bidder was that you got 10 minutes untapped in the pile. So you get 10 minutes to pull as much shit as you can into your own corner. Britt made it like certain you had to pick a corner, and you had to put stuff into your corner for it to count. And they didn't have to pay by the pound, so whatever your high bid was, that's how much you paid. You get 10 minutes to just grab as much stuff as you want. And then the high bid ended up going $45.50. So they spent $4,500 to get 10 minutes of unlimited picking, basically.
But then he opened it up and he said somebody can match this 4,500 and also.
But they get to go second, so you can match the 4,500. But the guy who originally did the first 4,500 got like a 1 or 2 minute head start because
Yeah.
they took the risk.
And so essentially both guys got the 10 minutes. And they.
Which was, I think Britt made a mistake. It was so fucking long. You don't like realize how long 10 minutes is.
Yeah, 10 minutes is a long ass time. And these guys weren't even, like the guys who were in there picking didn't even understand how long it was because they got super gassed. Like hauling huge handfuls, probably like 50 pounds at a time or 30 pounds of clothes at a time out of this pile and moving them to your own pile for 10 minutes straight is like freaking marathon. But the whole thing was crazy because he kept changing the rules. Like during the auction, like the rules changed like 5 times. Like literally from like when the bidding started to when it actually happened, the rules kept changing. So everyone was kind of like confused on what was going on. But it didn't really matter because the people who were bidding, there was only a few people really bidding, and they all fucking won anyway and got the opportunity to go in. So these two parties go in, they pull fucking massive piles aside. Both of them were like hella gas, and they were teams, so they got to switch out with their partners. Eh?
Yeah, it was like tag team wrestling. When you got tired, you got to slap hands and have your other guy come in and start pulling for you.
And this event, like literally everybody from the whole Festivus was in that tent. Like people left their booths. Like you could have gone out and stolen anything from any of the booths during that time because like they were fully just vacant.
Yeah.
Like the whole crew was in that fucking tent.
It was hot.
It's hot as shit.
It was
Like the sun
dusty.
was heated up and the fucking everyone else was heating up.
The air was heavy with fucking nasty dust.
Farts.
Yeah, me and Matt were inside the caution tape because we were filming, so we were literally just huffing dust and mold and everything.
Yeah.
But it was worth it for the
So-
shot.
Yeah, our boogers were black after that the whole day.
Black mold got to us.
Yeah, both parties fucking probably pulled over 1,000 pounds each. They both those parties got like over 1,000 pounds each. Like the pile like looked like it was half gone after those two first goes, right?
I think the first two guys got like 2 to 3K pounds each.
Yeah, they got a shitload of stuff.
Yeah.
So they were like actually like pretty happy from the sounds of it. I never talked to them like later after that, but they seemed stoked. Like there was no way they weren't going to make their money because when you calculate that out, if it's even at 1,000 pounds, that's only $4.50 per pound, which is cheaper than most people are buying rag nowadays.
Yeah. And you should tell them why Because usually it was a lot of scraps, but Britt snuck in a few $1,000 items in there.
Yeah, so what we know is he pulled, like, there was one JCPenney buckleback that got put into the pile. There was a Metallica ALP, you know, the one everybody wants all the time. There was, and then, like, he had maybe, like, 10 other killer items from
there were multiple bucklebacks.
From his barn. Oh, yeah, there was 2 bucklebacks, but one was, like, a linen kind of shit pair. There was one really good denim one. And then, I don't know, a handful of other probably killer, like, few $100 pieces that they stashed throughout the pile. So everyone was kind of like, you were kind of just going for that. Like, I think everybody who bid was hoping they would just get those one pair of bucklebacks that would pay for the whole thing. So then after those 2 groups went, they opened it up for a second auction bid. And what was the guy's name?
Alex from Monday Market Vintage.
Yeah, he bid $2,900, and then he got to go in, but it was only for 3 minutes. But he also, well, he didn't pull as much as the other guys, but he did pretty damn good for 3 minutes.
I think he almost matched them in 3 minutes. He was a tank.
Yeah, he went ham.
And he got the best. I mean, I don't want to compare, but I think he might have got the best stuff too in the least amount of time.
So because nobody knew where the bucklebacks were, he said his name's Alex. Monday Market. Yeah, he got the bucklebacks, and he only had to pay the $2,900, so he was fucking fired up.
And he also got World War II denim, a bunch of another salt and pepper pants. Like he got 3 high tier items.
And he sold the pants same day, right?
He said he sold 3 items for $3,500.
So
without touching the thousands and thousands of pounds.
Yeah, and then he also said he sold another 2,000 out of his pile or something.
Yeah.
So he made bank without even leaving the event.
Yeah, shout out to him. He hooked me up with a few things out of his pile. Some shitters, but good deal.
Yeah. He was just threw the pile on the ground later on, and then let everybody pick in $5, $10, $20 items.
He made a new wholesale pile.
So back to the pile. And after that, after he got to go in it, Britt said it's open to anybody.
Free for all.
$10 a pound.
No. It was I think it was 35 or something.
No, it was 10.
On the first day?
Yeah, he said, he came up and made an announcement. He's like, I was going to do 25 or 35 a pound, but fuck it, $10 a pound.
All right.
Then everybody rushes the fucking tape line.
Literally
2 minutes, it was gone.
Yeah, the entire 10,000, 15,000 pounds, everything was gone. Of course, people did throwbacks, but people grabbed literally every last piece of clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone just grabbed an armful and then was just, sorting through it.
It's the bin specialty. You just grab and then sort. I personally don't like that, but I guess there's no other way to do it.
And then that was it. And it was like, fuck. I left at 10 at that point because I'm like, it's over. They just demoed this pile. Britt had the 1800 scale, so I'm like, Britt's going to be busy for 4 hours trying to weigh people out with this scale where you got to move the little weight back and forth on the rod. But that, obviously, most of you people out there listening has probably seen the footage. A bunch of people posted it. We posted it. Go check my social or Vintage social for the video on that, because it was mayhem. So next up was the Olympics, and this is the part of the thing that I thought he would scrap. I was like, there's no way he's going to come through and actually do this event. I just thought that was too. There's no money to be made from it. There's not I don't know. I just thought it was too out there. But he got it together, and he got a group of probably 15 or 20 people that wanted to do the Olympics, and put together 6 events for it, and put up some prizes, which nobody knew what the fuck they were going to be until after. Nobody really knew what was happening for the Olympics either. It was kind of we're going to do this event, and then maybe you'll get 500 points, maybe you'll get 300 points. I don't really know. then we're gonna do that event, and like you'll get extra points for style, but we don't really know what's gonna happen yet. Like it just like was very on the fly the whole thing, but it didn't really matter because all we were doing was having fun anyway.
So what were some of the events? I didn't do the Olympics, but Drew competed. So what were some of the events he made you
competed
do?
in only 2 events, but the first event was sick because it was Matt saw it. Talk him through, Matt.
Oh, the tubing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much Rick got everyone up. He drove them up, a little bit up the cliff that was overlooking the whole place on a, what would you even call that thing?
Oh, like a gator.
Yeah, like
ATV.
a gator with a big, bed in the back. Me and Drew sitting on the back. He's flooring it up this fucking hill. It almost fell out. We get up there and he's like, "All right, everyone's gonna jump off this waterfall." And it ended up just being a rock with like a 10-foot drop into a bunch of mud.
Technically a waterfall.
It's probably a waterfall, but it's pissing rain, but it was pretty dry.
So everyone lines up on the edge. They got their tubes. Pretty much they have to jump in, wade down river like, 200 feet, and then it turned into an actual current. And they floated down. Britt was the first guy to jump in. He immediately lost his fucking Oakleys.
That he borrowed from someone else.
That he borrowed. And then it was just a free-for-all, everyone's scrambling.
And that event was kind of misleading, or at least for me as the viewer, because you see the river and you think it's like a real river. I didn't know it was only like 6 inches deep.
Yeah, a lot of it's pretty shallow.
Yeah, so like I saw some guy standing on his ankles, and I was like, oh, like the immersion is gone. Like it's not as like death-defying like an Olympics event like I thought it would be.
Yeah, but that could be worse because you can be too shallow and then you get stuck. You gotta use the currents. You gotta find the deeper parts of the river when you're floating down. There's
I saw one guy just walking faster than everyone else was actually going.
Yeah, and then we had to run back because Britt, I guess, was still looking for his sunglasses. So I got a good workout that day.
Because we were trying to get back before the rafters so we could get the footage, and we thought Britt would drive us back, but he's still fucking swishing around in the mud. Oh man, so fucking funny. And everyone was misleading because there was water and kind of covering like this quicksandy mud, and everyone didn't realize like they were jumping straight into mud. It was funny shit.
Yeah, the first girl, there was like a girl that tried to like get a little head start, and she was like up to her knees in mud.
Oh man. So yeah, then there was a bridge downriver in the Tico time, and the first person to cross the line of the bridge won. So that was the first event. Second event was the slip and slide fucking jump, like launch ramp thing. Everyone's seen these now on like social media and shit because they're at tons of water parks, but this Tico Time place had like a kind of a homemade jobber looking one. But obviously I was fucking stoked on this because who doesn't want to go on a fucking slip and slide kicker ramp? So I got in on this one, and basically this one was like just judged because you're like, it's not a race. You just like, whoever does the sickest jump off into the water, sickest dive or something.
Yeah, and it was like, Britt was like, we're all going to score each other. And then I think he ended up just scoring everyone.
Yeah, totally.
He's like Drew went and he did like some crazy one where Drew hit the side of his head like a flip. And he was like, oh, that's the best one I've seen. And then the next one did something similar and he's like, that's the best one. That's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I think Drew got a 10 out of 10, and then the next guy got a 10.5.
We got robbed. Drew got robbed.
And then the way that one ended up was like, there was a first, there was a second, there was like 5 guys tied for third. But we all got points, so that was cool. And basically, we got to mention at this point, Bucky, which is Eric's son, came with him. Fucking machine. I think, did he win or second in the raft or something? He didn't win the rafting, right?
He was, top 3, I believe.
He was top 3 in the tubing, and then he won maybe he did like a full, like, fucking front flip and a half to dive almost for his jump, eh?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so he's already coming out in the lead after the first two events. Bucky was slaying it. And then we all had to go get harnessed up, and we were going to do like a speed climb on this 50-foot climbing wall thing. Again, Britt's like, I'm the boss hog here, so I'm going to run up this thing and show you how it's done. And he actually fucking slayed it. Like, Britt went up in, like, what, 27 seconds or something?
Yeah, 26. And you only got points if you beat his time.
Yeah. I beat his time, though, didn't I?
No, you're 1 second behind.
Ah.
I think Bucky was the only one.
But he still did a first, second, third, didn't he, on that one, or no?
I think there was maybe only one or two people that actually beat it. Bucky, like, kind of smashed him.
Yeah, Bucky got 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got to jump off this, like, you got to jump off the top of the climbing wall on this, like, hydraulic catch thing that he
Just
was
like a
calling a
rappel.
bungee jump, but it was not definitely, yeah, it's a rappel. Exactly. So you free fall like 5 feet, then you just slowly descend. But still, that shit's scary as hell, jumping off a 50-foot ledge. I'm telling you, I was like, looking at it from the bottom, I'm like, that's nothing, that's pussy shit. And then I'm up there, and I, like, super hesitated. Which you posted, and now I look like an idiot.
It'll live on forever.
And then I think that was it for me. I'm like, I'm good on these events.
Did you
And
do the tug of war?
No,
Or
I didn't do it.
I wasn't there, but Matt, were you there?
I was there.
How was the? Tell them about what was special about the tug of war.
Well, Drew wasn't there. I think
That
Drew
made it
was
special.
Going on a beer run for me and Dylan. Like a trooper. It was, it was like a big, thick rope that just had jeans tied around it. They picked teams. And then I think, I don't know, it was over in a matter of like 10 seconds because Eric, he's a big dude. His team just fucking,
I just tanked.
yeah,
Was he at the end, the last guy?
I think so.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he's the anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, they're probably lucky I wasn't there because I've watched Squid Game and I know the real
Yeah,
I
I know the
say-
strategy.
I know the strategy. So good thing I wasn't there. But there was only enough for really one match, right? Because it was like 5-on-5 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, everyone was having fun. It was fucking fun because you're just like, that's what you're there. It's like that whole sequence of events, like, got us away from like just selling and buying vintage to like having fun, swimming, fucking around for like a few hours, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
So Bucky took it. Bucky won it, and then two brothers got like second and third.
Mm-hmm.
You remember their names?
I think it's Hagen. I could be wrong, and Decatur.
You don't remember their IGs?
I never knew their IG.
Yeah, I don't even think Bucky has an IG because his dad's Junkyard Jeans. So check out Junkyard Jeans anyway. They're OGs. But yeah, basically, by the end of that event, Britt was like, "Shit, we gotta hurry up. Like the auctions are gonna start, right?"
Yeah, we were behind like maybe an hour and a half or so.
So then basically after that, everybody like headed to the pavilion on the other side of the river. Super nice pavilion, actually, like open air pavilion thing, where the auctions started. It was funny too, in that during the day I was thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so we went to Brett's barn, we had the pile sale, we had the Olympics. I'm like, there's like so much attention away from the booths. You know what I mean? Like, your attention's getting diverted in all these directions. So like in my mind, I was like, nobody's actually like chilling at the booths or shopping or whatever.
I think a lot of the deals were made though, like at the crack of dawn or even in the dark of night. I saw some Instagram stories of people digging through stuff just with headlamps and flashlights. Like, I think most of like the premium stuff was gone before we even got there. Not that we would have bought it, but I think a lot of that trading, buying, and selling was like under the table.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. Most of those vendors made all their money off like their top 5 pieces each.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't need to sell a lot of shit. You came with like your craziest stuff, you sold it, and you're good, and that was it. So it didn't matter that there wasn't a lot of buyers per se, but people still sold you. And there was no Japanese. Like there was like maybe like five real Japanese buyers there, which kind of shocked me because I was like, I don't know. I just had an assumption that they're the top dogs, at least throughout history of the vintage game. And
you would think if they knew about it, more of them would have came, but maybe they just didn't know.
Yeah.
Or they weren't willing to.
I don't believe that. Some of them knew about it. They just didn't come.
Yeah, they didn't want to camp out in New Mexico.
Yeah, exactly. So man, it's all a blur now. Matt, how did the auction go the first night? Do you remember?
Shit.
We were getting pretty drunk by this point. Like we were drinking all day Saturday. I was pretty cut during the auction.
I was sober-minded, responsible.
Yeah, basically Dylan's like the manager of us for this trip. Dylan's been really on the ball. Like, okay, guys, we gotta be here at this time. Okay, Drew, like, this is where our hotel is. Turn here, Drew. Turn left there. Like, just really on the ball, dude.
Man with a plan.
Yes, sir.
I don't really remember. I remember being on the verge of falling asleep during the auction. So.
Not that it was boring. More so because of the alcohol they were consuming.
Yeah, plus Matt flew out super fucking.
Oh, like, yeah. We've been running on like
no sleep the night before, and he
4
also had a
hours
time
sleep.
change, right?
Yeah. 2 hours. But.
I think the auction went well then. I mean, obviously the last day of the auction, which we'll talk about later, was like the best because of like the craziest shit.
But yeah, that auction was good. There was some dope shit in it.
I think only a couple of pieces like didn't sell for reserve, so everything pretty much sold. I think the highlight was maybe that like Levi's banner, an original Levi's banner, like store promo. It was like a little bit over 3,000.
Yeah, there was nothing in like the 5,000 to 10,000 range the second night. It was just like a lot of like.
I mean, Britt did it on purpose. It went from like the least expensive to the most expensive.
But good vibes. The whole thing was full. Lots of people there. Everyone's fucking having a good time, drinking their bevies and getting loose. And, auctions, and it was smooth. So, what's the auctioneer's name again? We gotta talk about this guy. Hadley was a G, man. So Hadley did the auctions, and like we first met this guy at the pile, right? Because he helped Britt load all the clothes into the 10,000-pound pile.
He was basically like the number 2 man in charge at the event, I would say.
Yeah, and I just thought he was like Britt's homie, like buddy guy or whatever. But turns out he's also a super digger, and you'll learn more about him in the video we're going to put out soon. But he runs a ranch.
He's a cowboy.
A ranch. Didn't he say it was a 100,000 acre ranch?
He did say that.
Yeah. And he got into vintage from going through the houses on the 100,000 acre ranch and finding old shit. And he had some of his own crazy, crazy stuff, like insane bucklebacks, insane barn finds, Wabash coveralls, and like all kinds of shit this guy had. And then so he helped with the pile. He had a booth. He also ran the auctions, and he was fucking killing it on the auctions as the auctioneer.
That was only like his first ever auction, I'm pretty sure he said.
Yeah. Britt busted out his book. Everybody, I think if you like paid for the event, you got the catalog, right?
I think the VIPs got the catalog. You could have bought it on Instagram as well if you like didn't go to the event. Yeah. But then Britt also made like a Fox
just ran by the car.
1 of 100 book of like all the stuff that he and maybe his friends I think have found in mines, like the real creme de la creme stuff.
Yeah, he made a collector's book of like his top 15 pieces, right? But the cool thing about that book was that each piece came with the story of how he found it.
Mm-hmm.
And those were $100. So he released those that night.
He was signing them, getting the full treatment. I mean, if you would have like had a good coffee table, I think it was worth it. To have the Festivus catalog and that one back to back if you're like a true vintage guy.
Yeah. Fun thing we haven't even talked about. Like, I haven't talked much about Brit in reality here. Like, throughout this whole day, Brit's like the most high energy guy. He's like rallying the troops. Before the pile sale, he fucking pulls up the gator in the middle of the event, gets on top of the roof of the gator, and starts like giving the whole fucking event like a show. He had like everybody in the whole event like circled around him, talking about how the auction's gonna run, fucking hyping everybody up. You know, I don't even remember what the hell he was saying in that speech, but he had everyone's attention pretty damn good. And this guy's like a real showman. Like Brit, the energy that he had from start of the event to finish of the event, like never wavered.
It was the same.
It was the same. You're like, are you not tired yet, bro? So he's fucking did this whole auction. Like at points you're like, Brit, start the event now. Like stop like talking because you're going so much. He's like telling stories. He's hyping. He was really good at like acknowledging the other people in the event, like all his help, which was super nice. His wife,
The crew,
his
the kids,
and like lots of people. And like then when we got into the tent for the pile sale, he's like going off, hyping people up. I think he cried at that one too. He cried at that point, didn't he?
There were a couple of times where I think Brit was so high energy that it just, like, you know, like it just came out in like an emotional response.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I don't even, like, he can't even control it. It's just like unfiltered emotion.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Unfiltered emotion is Brit for sure.
Yeah, not to mention he was like pretty much screaming the entire time. I don't know how he didn't lose his voice.
I thought that too. I was like, I wonder if the second day he's going to have no voice. And yeah, he was like telling stories, and I think he was overwhelmed with emotion of like the support that he got from the people that came. You know, like that alone is enough to make you like, holy shit, these people came for me. You know, it's my event. And then through the whole Olympics, he's running the whole show. He's got the scoreboard. He's like announcing everything, like telling the rules of the events. Like it was like nonstop. And then at the auction again that night, he's like getting up on the mic, like freaking. He was like chanting with the people.
What was the? Drew's a big fan of it.
Oh shit!
What was that?
We just killed a porcupine.
Oh fuck!
Plus 500.
We literally just ran over a porcupine. Sorry, porcupine.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Man.
I think it might have been already gone though.
You think? I think that thing was slowly.
It was stationary. I think.
I think Drew tried to hit it.
He did swerve into the other lane
What?
menacingly.
Well, dude, I'm not gonna swerve and kill us.
No, Drew was in the right lane. The porcupine was in the left lane. Drew swerved.
No, I didn't. You fucking dickhead. Oh, I feel bad for that little porcupine, man. There's a lot of wildlife out today.
Yeah. So, what was the slogan of the event, Drew? You might have to do it in the voice.
Festivus!
Matt?
It's Festivus! When I say it's Festivus, you say for the rest of us, it's Festivus!
For the rest of us. I think we heard it maybe 500 times.
We heard that 500 times.
What was the other one? It was like online incels spit their venom. All I say is
that has a more.
Carpe
That is a deeper seated history.
That was fucking awesome too. So that was another sick line that he was also freestyling just an hour or two ago. But it was online haters spit their venom. All we say is carpe denim, right?
Yes. I think it was online incels.
Well, I feel like it was at one point, and then he changed it.
He was freestyling pretty well, surprisingly. There's not a thing this man can't do.
Man, so crazy. Fucking Brit. The auction, yeah, so where are we at?
That was the first day for us.
Yeah, that was the first day recap, and then basically the auction ends. Where like everyone's drinking. They had a band playing or like a solo musician playing on the big main stage, which is actually like a huge main stage with like a mega. You could have like a 1,000-person concert there, right? Like it was a fucking big area.
Fish concert.
But there was probably like 20, 30 people. Yeah, exactly. 20, 30 people watching, all spread out. So the vibe was a bit off. For
Half of them were asleep too.
Yeah, like
Crash.
sleeping in the hammocks and shit. But you know, everybody else was probably just out chilling on campfires and getting wasted and shit. So it didn't matter where you were. I guess everyone was having their own good time.
Yeah, I think not like it was a bad thing for the event, but I think a lot of people weren't willing to match like Brit's energy for like the event schedule. Like they were just maybe there to sell and that's it, which I guess is what you do at a normal event. Because most people, like Drew said, just went back and drank and hung out with each other and didn't do any of like a lot of the main stage events.
Yeah, like even for the Olympics, like if you weren't participating or like friends with the participants, you weren't really watching. There wasn't a lot of people watching. Maybe the jump they were watching more, but a bunch of the events was just the competitors, which is, I mean, fine. And kudos to us for fucking doing it. Well, I did it. You guys just watched.
I was there.
Hey, I filmed it, dude.
Yeah, you filmed it. You're killing it.
But yeah, it's hard to get everyone on the same page. And I think because everyone was kind of drinking, smoking, I think the energy was a little...
Yeah. But that's kind of like, you know, like if this event does ever get bigger, I mean, to me it's kind of cool too, because you're like, everybody gets to have their own experience too. Like, you could do some of the schedule things, you could not do some of the schedule things, like whatever. Like, you don't have to do it all. You get to go fucking, like I know Sam, known bad boy, like took a fucking hike on the Thursday up a mountain, which is like, fuck yeah, go enjoy. I took mad breaks to go fly fishing because I'm like, I need to get away from all you dickheads. And then that was basically it for the day, right? We fucking wrapped her up, got some Wendy's,
Yeah.
Late night Wendy's.
and went to bed.
And then...
But yeah, I also got to say, there's two food options on site, right? There was like the Indonesian
Yeah, it's like Indonesian,
food truck,
Filipino fusion food truck.
which was bomb, but
Very good.
she was a solo operator, dude. So like you ordered your food and it was like 30-minute wait.
Yeah.
And then they had like a burger shack that was run by Tico Time, which I didn't have the burger, but the fries were actually fucking good, eh?
Yeah,
I had
like
the-
fresh cut, hand
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah, proper.
I had the burger, hot dog, fries. It was
You had
good.
like fucking 12-year-old kids running the grill, the deep fryer.
Which you think might make the food worse, but somehow they knew how to cook a good burger and fries.
I still think some child labor laws were being broken there, potentially.
Maybe it's loose in New Mexico.
Must be. Yeah, going back to the energy thing with Britt, like a couple times throughout the weekend, he'd be like, if you don't attend this event, if you guys don't come to the band tonight, you're never allowed back at Festivus. He was like really trying hard to get people to
Which is
like,
understandable.
every
Like, he
event.
paid for these guys to come out here, and it's like maybe a little insulting if like 10 people show up, but
Yeah, I wonder if he
Credit to
just had the assumption that people had as much energy as him. But he's still ready to fucking go and dance all night. Everybody else is like passed out.
he's probably
dead.
still doing it right now at 2:40 in the morning.
Wouldn't be surprised. He just made like freaking, I don't even know how much.
Well, we'll touch on that maybe at the end.
So
So what do we do the second day?
let's kick it off. Day 2.
Wes?
Thanks. Just one sneeze that time.
So we got up a little bit later.
We went for breakfast. We were staying in Aztec, New Mexico. Most people half people probably staying there or Durango, or if you weren't staying at the Tico Time. It was only like 25 minutes from the event, but we went out for like a proper breakfast, some Aztec restaurant that I
It was
thought
called
would be
Aztec Restaurant.
Yeah, I thought it would be way better than it was. We got super mean mugged by this old lady. I did.
Discovered a new slang term for food,
Yeah, what was it called?
making it Christmas.
Yeah, making
Get your
Christmas.
breakfast Christmas.
But they had it on their dinners too. It was like red and green chili sauce. Obviously, I made it Christmas. Duh.
So we pulled up the Festivus a little late. Not really late, but technically started at 7 a.m. for VIPs. You could go in and shop. We got there like 10, 9:30, 10.
And yeah, this time there was way more vendors. So like right away, like I didn't even realize until we got in there, but the one tent was full of vendors, same as yesterday or the day before, and then the second tent that was the pile sale on the second day was fully full with new vendors or people that just hadn't set up yet.
Yeah.
So you probably had like more than double the amount of vendors. More people popped up outside, and yeah, like just tons of good shit all over the place.
And the pile was still there in the middle. It was smaller.
Yeah, just the super dregs of the dregs.
Yeah, but the second day was like all. It was like there weren't any like events like the first day. It was like all selling, all buying and selling. That's it.
Yeah, so we shopped, spent some time fucking broing down, saw some more people that we hadn't seen yet. You know, I bought a couple things. I bought a sweatshirt. I bought a couple poly print, like picture print shirts. One of like Ice Climbers and one of like Surfer Magazine. Dylan, what'd you get?
I got some U.S. military or Marine Corps HBT pants. Nice painted and distressed.
Yeah, those were sick.
I think Matt already mentioned. We can say it again.
So highlights for me. Yeah, Matt, what did you get?
Just grabbed some stuff from the leftovers from Monday Market's pile. So I just got some 70s Levi's boot cuts, all distressed for the personals, and then some dead stock Wrangler bell bottoms, and like 3 t-shirts.
Tell them about your hat.
Oh, I got a hat. I forget what does it say? God made a few perfect heads. The rest he gave hair to.
Shout out to the bald guys out there.
Yeah, I'm balding. Prepared for
We
the
need to
future.
make a club like the bald vintage heads or something dumb like that. Can't think of a good name, but it's a working title. It's so funny thinking about day 2, which was actually for us today because we haven't slept yet, but feels like forever ago already.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah, it was a little bit slower because it was. I think the vending booths was 9 to 4.
Yeah, so we didn't have to like run it around, which was nice. We could kind of just be more mellow. We, obviously we're there to like shoot some footage and stuff and just have fun. So we did a lot of interviews today with people, which was cool. Like chatted to everybody we wanted to about like their experiences and different stuff, which you obviously gotta watch the vlog when that comes out. But highlights of I'm gonna go through my highlights of the booth. So friggin' Idaho Jeans is the guy's name, right?
Yeah.
He had a full table of bucklebacks, like
Jerky.
we're talking like there must have been like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, like 25 pairs of bucklebacks on his table, all good. Not like we're not talking like one-legged fuckers. We're talking like real wearable bucklebacks. He had a Babe Ruth freaking change button short coat.
And everybody was asking $5K on that one.
Yeah, that was from the concession stand at Yankee Stadium in like the 20s.
Yeah.
He had some other crazy shit in like a case. Yeah, it just has crazy shit. There was that Two-Face like Freedom Pocket overlock hood sweatshirt that the dude was asking $10,000 champion tag. It was like the big fat champion runner tag.
He was asking $10,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You weren't there when we were talking to him?
No, but I messaged him on Instagram when he first posted it, just because I was like, dude, I need to know like what it is, just because I'm curious. And he said he got offers around like $2K, and I thought that was like pretty high.
He said today his best was $3K, but he's asking 10.
Damn. I mean, shoot high. Obviously, you'd probably never get it, but
Yeah. What were your guys' highlights of the booth today?
man,
All the shit I could never dream of spending that much money on.
Yeah.
Just pretty much everything.
I mean, it's like when you go to an event like this, it's just overwhelming. There's too much good stuff. So, like, to be honest, for money, you're almost better off to go to like a regular event with all that shit because you'll be the only one everyone's buying shit from. But it's just so rummy. Like I saw one guy, a couple things that I saw that was cool. There was one guy that had the original first deep pile Patagonia fleece. But yeah, I don't know. We just like, it was like we said, more mellow of a day, just cruising around. Got to like sit for periods of time and like talk to people instead of like having to run to an event or something, you know?
We did some good interviews. Like we learned a lot about bando picking.
Yeah, so that's an interesting topic we could touch on. So after being at this event and talking to a lot of people, I said earlier in the episode that there's like a age divide. Like I'm in the middle, right? But I'm like considered old head now. But like to me, like there was my old heads were there, which I mentioned, like the Larrys, Eric, Snappy, right? They were way in the business before me. Then there's my generation, then there's like the young generation, like your guys' age. It seems to me like a lot of the young generation is picking in the bandos. Like probably everybody I fucking spoke to, which is crazy. So there's so much true vintage coming out of bandos right now across America, which is like kind of flooding the market. That's why we're probably seeing more shit coming to market for like true vintage, which I don't know if it's at a level where it's like affecting the market, but I don't think it's a good thing. But then we also heard today, like, there's so much mixed philosophies on this because the guy, Hayden, who was the auctioneer, he works on that ranch and he gets to go in the houses on his ranch. But those are owned by the owner of the ranch and he's allowed to go there. He was like, if anybody comes on my fucking property and tries to go in the houses on my ranch, like, I'm doing whatever the fuck I want to do to those people. You know what I mean? Like, pretty fucking ruthless. But then you have the other side of it where the kids are saying, like, we fucking go into all kinds of houses everywhere. And then I heard today the story of 2 kids out of Kansas or some shit.
Yeah, somewhere.
Was it Kansas?
Yeah, let's run with it.
Okay, 2 kids out of Kansas got double felonies, and they're fucking going to jail for bando picking. They're going to be in jail. I think the one that I heard today from the guy who knows the full story said, like, from what he knows, he thinks they're going to do over a year in jail each.
They're like 18, 19.
Yeah, for bando picking. So there is real consequences because in the eyes of the law, they don't give a fuck if it's an abandoned house or not. It's breaking and entering, and it's theft. So those, like, the distinction of the law doesn't fucking take into account that nobody cares about those clothes. So I don't know, like, we're gonna try to get more info on the story for everybody, but like that's the story so far. I'm just putting it out there as a warning, like, don't think you're immune to the law when you're breaking and entering in someone's property.
Are some of those properties, maybe you would know, Drew, are there chances where some of those properties are not private anymore?
No.
Like they all have ownership somehow?
Some way or another.
Some way or another? Oh, okay.
Like, some way or another, there's somebody who owns that property. And so so this is another factor in the bando thing. So especially with the farmhouses, I don't know about, like, a lot of the bandos that people go into, like Arizona and stuff, are like fucking trailer parks and shit, or like weird off beaten path communities and stuff. But all the ones in the Midwest and Colorado and ranch territory are ranches. Hayden was explaining this to us. He said Hadley was explaining this to us. He said that when the land race happened in the West, you could come out west and you would get 160 acres of land free, right? Like, there's like movies about this shit. This was like, I don't know, 1800s. And then everybody farmed the land and started ranches and started farms and whatever. But then, you know, the monopolization of our planet, the corporate monopolization of industry and stuff like that, it's not, everyone knows the concept there. The Amazonification of our world. These larger ranches and larger farms end up swallowing up all the small farms. So now you have like one house on 1,000 acres or 100,000 acres, and all the other houses are just abandoned because those families are gone. So that's why there's like so much abandonment out there in the Midwest, which is still somebody owns it. The bigger farms own all the smaller ones, you know. So be careful out there if you're picking bandos, because you could get shot by the owner of the property, because they'll probably consider that self-defense, but you can also go to jail. So be careful. Where did we end off? Where are we at in the story?
We can talk about the crazy auction that we just witnessed.
Yeah, so basically the rest of the day we swam some more, fucked around, mellow day. Everyone was kind of like waiting for this big auction, because tonight was the final night of the auction, which meant the biggest pieces and the 1880s Levi's bucklebacks. Da 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 da. So yeah, what's the deal, Dills?
There were a pair of 1880 Levi's projected to go anywhere from $40,000 to $100,000. I think when the auction started,
What do you think the speed limit is here? 35.
35.
I'm going 35 now.
Hopefully we don't get pulled over.
I think keep going.
So yeah, I think everyone was kind of waiting for that, because that's fucking crazy, hitting 5 figures for jeans, let alone maybe even 6 figures for a pair of freaking denim. But even before that, there was like a pair of Stifle overalls, a lot of promo stuff, like a porcelain Carhartt sign.
There was 2 Lee Housemark chin strap pieces, one coverall and one chore jacket.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if those hit reserves though or not. A lot of things weren't hitting reserves. A lot of things were, but a lot of things weren't.
Because these were the high ticket ones, so.
Yeah. And the way the auction ran is if it didn't, he wouldn't say the reserve until it got hit.
I think that's like how it always is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't go to many live auctions. I don't fucking know. I mean, there's a theory that you could just start at the minimum bid, but they don't do that because they started low to try to get like the blood flowing and people bidding, right?
In psychology.
Yeah,
bidding
exactly.
More. But yeah, I think everyone was just waiting for the last piece. It started out at $30,000.
Basically, like jumped to 50 right away. Like somebody threw the 50 bid.
I think it was that guy's Zip.
Yeah, I think he was like, let's just move this along. We had Bowl Cut threw a bid in. I think Bowl Cut went to like. Are we allowed to call him Bowl Cut? Everyone knows who we're talking about. It's Sam, known bad boy.
I think he went to 56, maybe 57.
Yeah.
Britt is probably a fantastic salesman. And I think he's right. And probably some of the pieces went a little bit lower than they probably could have. So he's probably giving people the right information, saying like, "Hey, if you buy this, if you bid another 1,000, you'll probably still make like 3,000." I think people trust him. I would trust him. If I had.
Why didn't you buy it then?
Well, if I had that type of money, not on the bitch to salary.
So known bad boy was getting harsh pressured by the auctioneer. The auctioneer loved to say like, "It's only money." That was his line.
Yeah, $57,000.
It's only money. And then everybody else, and then so Britt didn't Britt start a chant like to make him bid more or something? I don't know. Like it's fucking all blurry. There's a lot of chanting happening the whole time. And did the woman bid on this one?
Yeah, she.
Oh, so Joe, Matt, talk about this woman.
We have to go back to the first night auction now.
The first night, yeah, she bought mad shit, right?
She probably spent like over $10,000 on 5 or 6 items.
No, I think she was more like 7 to 10 items. To be honest,
so maybe even more than $10,000.
And she was the high roller of the night. Like she was on it. Like she was bidding on so much shit, and then she was it seemed like she knew all the shit. She'd be like, "That one's not worth it. Like I'm not gonna bid on that. That one, oh yeah, I'll take that." Boop,
she was super nonchalant about it all.
Yeah,
she was just chilling. Then tonight, she was kind of fucking toasted.
Turned, you might say.
She was a little wine drunk.
She was lit.
A little wine drunk.
Well, yeah, before the auction started, I saw her sitting on the picnic table talking with Brits,
I guess, I don't know what you'd call him, farmhand, the dude building the barn who was operating like the forklift. She was like flirting with him, man. It was hilarious. She was like, how old are you? He's like, 64. She's like, well, you look amazing. Which was funny, but yeah, she was getting pretty upset at certain points. I mean,
Was she? Yeah, because you were up front watching.
Yeah,
I have some crazy footage of her, like,
I don't know if that was the wine talking or maybe
Yeah.
she's just like a eccentric personality like Britt, because they seem to be friends, so obviously they're similar to each other.
Yeah, he gave her a big shout out tonight.
But yeah,
emotions were running high.
they were, and I mean, so back to day two, the crazy denim. I think she was getting into a bidding war with Zip, going back and forth from 60 all the way up to 67,000.
And then out of nowhere, like Golden State and Zip are sitting like front to back, not front to back, but like
In
Golden
front, yeah.
State's sitting behind Zip, and they're like becoming best buds. And I don't know like when this bromance started, but they're like bidding together all of a sudden, right? Like, let's split on this shit. Which I don't know if they had planned it like way before the fucking jeans started, or like they planned it in the middle of the jeans. I should have asked them that.
I saw them. They were talking pretty much like most of the entire auction, because they were talking during that painted pair, the $5,000 Levi's, the painted ones.
Yeah, so that's another. Should we talk about that?
We don't know the full details on that, but maybe there was some drama there. But yeah, they were colluding the whole night, and so I don't know if they were splitting other items as well, but they were definitely buddy for the whole auction. So
Yeah.
And once the bidding war slowed down, like, I think she realized, like, well, fuck, I'm not going to get these. I don't know if you guys heard it or if anyone heard it. She was kind of quiet, but I was like right up in front. She turned, looked over her shoulder at him, and was like, "Take it, you motherfucker." But she was like pissed looking, and that's like when Britt like came up and was like hugging her and like calming her down.
I mean, that is probably the only pair of that type of denim you'll ever see in your entire life, maybe.
Potentially, until I get my rappelling gear and start to go down the mines.
Until we hit the unknown Bando location in Arizona, it's a whole nother story.
Yeah. So to finish this up, the final bidding went between that woman, which we have an interview with her on the vlog coming up, and Zip and Kevin, his name is, right? Who's Golden State?
I think it's Kyle.
Kyle.
He's
Kyle.
your friend.
Dude, I know, but I only know Instagram names. Sorry, Kyle.
Who's Zip?
Zip was the guy who bid with him.
Yeah, but what's his name?
Oh, his name's Zip.
Oh, okay.
But he's an OG too. He's one of the older guys. He's from Cali. He's been coming to bowl for like 20, 30 years. I don't fucking know, before me. And he has a company called Hollywood Trading that's like a real company. Like, it's almost like gallery department. Like, I mean, obviously not as poppin', but he does like repairs on leather and denim and a lot of rework shit and whatever.
He was balling out too. He got a lot of stuff from the auction
Yeah,
both days. So yeah,
he's a player, man.
the ending bid was $76,000 for a pair of denim.
$76,000.
The reserve was 65, I think.
Yeah. And Britt was pretty vocal about, like, you guys are almost at the reserve. Like, this, they let him know this time.
Why don't you tell him about the Met, the whole thing? With
Yeah,
the,
so
the
there was
Met.
all these rumors that, like, the Met, which is the Museum of what?
I guess it's the Metropolitan Museum of Modern Art, I guess. Or,
But they were saying the one in Paris, right?
no, I think it's the one in New York, but I think they said their executive is
In Paris.
in Paris. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the Met, yeah,
Maybe,
so
I don't know.
that's kind of was weird because I was like, I thought the Met was an American thing. So anyway, yeah, the Met is interested in buying the jeans, but they couldn't get the buyer on the phone, which again is a bit fishy. If it is American,
Well, maybe
it's in
time
Paris.
difference. It was in Paris. It was asleep.
Anyway, so like Brit's kind of saying to everyone, like, the Mets wanted to buy the Met
For
wants to
100K.
buy it for 100K, so you're gonna be able to flip it no problem to these guys, blah blah blah. Which we'll see if that actually happens. We'll get the story on that another time. So I mean, if that's the truth, they just made fucking 24K overnight, which is a shitload of money. That's like some people's full year salary.
And the notoriety of probably saying you sold $100,000 pair of denim. Probably
Yeah.
get in the newspaper.
And to be honest, like if you like, that's not the only option. Like you could take those jeans to Japan. You could show them to like some of the heavy hitter Japanese buyers. You could wait for like you could do like a Sotheby's with it. Like you could send it to Sotheby's auction that's going to go out to like hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of options with those fuckers. But I think the thing, yeah, I mean, I think the thing for Britt was like he wanted to have those as the draw for the event, so he was okay with it. And obviously it was a huge draw for the event. So yeah, that was the end of it. Fucking for that last auction, I'd never seen so many phones out going live. There was probably like half the people were live on their IGs,
Yeah.
showing the shit. Tons of other people have their phone. Even Britt during the whole time was filming it himself. Like he's in the middle of the auction filming it as he's like talking about it.
He was dancing.
Oh
He
my
was
God.
galloping, giving people high fives once it hit the reserve.
Oh yeah, he was running around the auction border like he's like a sports player that just fucking scored the winning goal of a fucking championship game.
And I'd be happy to
high-fiving.
get 75 grand in my pocket overnight. More with the buyer's premium.
Well, yeah, and that's just the one item, dude. We estimate he made 40 at his house. He made probably 20 off the pile. He made, I don't know how much he made before the event yesterday. So he, you know, I think Britt's probably looking in like the $250,000.
I was going to say
plus.
250.
Yeah, there you go.
Still a little ways off from getting that barn done, but I think it's a good start.
Yeah, fucking
For 3 days.
Huge amount of money being made at this event. Plus all the other heavy ticket items that people sold. And,
And definitely like $1 million in inventory just like sitting on this one RV park in New Mexico.
oh, easily, man. Like that table, even the Idaho Jeans guy's table, like he
50K.
wasn't even there half the time. I'm like, you're leaving like fucking $50K on a table right here.
And so there were some reports of some thefts. There's a funny story of jeans getting taken out of a car window and then being found in another side of the parking lot.
Yeah, you got to go more details than that. Okay, this is like some. So the first night in the auction, you know, throughout all the auctions, Britt would always just like, because he's not up there the whole time, but then he would just get up there and start like talking about something, like read a story or talk about like thanking his family or like just there was like a million things he would talk about, but. One of them on the first night was like getting up there and talking about these guys that had their jeans stolen out of the car window that they had left open. They left the car window open and they said somebody reached in and grabbed the jeans and they lost these jeans and they were like really cool, patched up, like full hippie, leathery denim jeans, right? So Britt's up there, he's talking about it, saying like how he's disgusted with this, how he's like, can't believe this community would do this. It's like whatever, brings up the kid, he's talking about it, and they're like, you know, we want these jeans to be returned, or blah, blah, blah.
If he finds out who it is, he's going to kick their ass.
Yeah, he's like, I'll be going to jail. Actually, that's what he said. He's like, if I find out who they are,
Yeah.
I'll be going to jail.
And I take that seriously from Britt.
Yeah, like, for sure. So anyway, so then, like, after the auction ends on the first night, well, second night of the auctions, but we missed the first night, and then you know, there's like an announcement. Britt's like, it's a Festivus miracle. By the way, there was lots of Festivus miracles throughout the weekend. There was many Festivus miracles. It's a Festivus miracle. The jeans were found. Apparently, somebody saw a car drive by really quickly and like throw the bag out the window, and then these jeans were in the bag, just like randomly on the road. The car window thing, throwing it out the car window and skirting off, which someone could have like easily got a license plate or something and known who the fuck that was, which is weird to me. Second of all, I think did you hear that someone put them out a car window?
That is what I heard.
Yeah. So anyway, they found them like on the ground, just randomly like on the road to the auction pavilion, right?
Yeah.
So Festivus miracle number one.
I don't know, it's just funny. It's like funny stories, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like weird.
Fishy stories,
Like, well, I think it could be true. Because they were saying if somebody really wanted to steal the stuff that was there, you could have done it really easily.
Oh,
and
so easily.
So and also keep in mind that the Tico time was not just for us. There were like weird,
Families
yeah, there
hanging
are families there, weird old people. I mean, I feel
there
like
wasn't a ton of people there.
I mean, I feel like I even saw like some. I don't want to assume that people are homeless, but like, you know, people just like kind of wandering through, passing through the area. So it's not unfathomable that maybe someone like took them and then maybe got rid of them when they realized they couldn't do anything with them.
Yeah.
But
Then
someone
okay,
from-
so then the second rumor of theft was like everyone's getting DM'd that somebody who wasn't there had a bunch of items in the auction. He's like, I just had my whole vintage collection stolen. There's a bunch of my items in the auction I've seen in the catalog. Like, I want to get my fucking shit back, blah, 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 blah. And then this person's just DMing, like, random people who are at the event this information. And I saw it, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this guy's on. Turns out that one was just, like, a domestic dispute between him and his girlfriend, who ended up with the clothes during a breakup. And he was, like, trying to, like, get it back or something. But, you know, obviously we didn't have to worry about that. That's just, like, some drama. Save the drama for your mama shit.
The real weird one was when Britt got up the third time in front of the auction crowd.
Yeah, go ahead. What was that one?
Well,
Tonight?
yeah, tonight, or I guess technically last night now, but Britt got up and there was another instance of theft with another guy, the guy from Colorado Springs, I think it's Cloth Casket. He said he like lost his jacket for like 10 minutes and then found it again in like a random patch of grass. Like the items are just moving randomly at this event. It's like supernatural.
Yeah, so I think it was more than 10 minutes, but he said he put his jacket on the table, went for 20 seconds to load something in his truck,
It was
came
gone.
back and it was gone. And then he didn't get it till like halfway through the
Oh,
auction.
okay, yeah.
And it was literally like on the grass near his tent or something. So yeah, Britt made a point of getting up tonight and telling everybody that like all the theft was solved, or
A
it
Festivus
never was
miracle.
theft in the first place, or we don't really know. It's all just a mystery at this point.
Well, what he was weird, he said, he was like,
Hippies roaming around or something.
he was like, yeah, it's probably hippies roaming around, but he also mentioned that, you know, there were a lot of vendors and people coming up to me saying, I know it's this person, I suspect it's this person that did the stealing, and it was like someone in the Festivus community. And Britt was saying, he said like 20 people came up to me and said that this guy or girl did it. And
Or girl, make sure you throw that in.
I did.
I know.
He, she, they, them, could have been anyone. But he was saying like 20 people came up to me and said it was this person, and I told him, no, it can't be this person. Like, I know that person, they're a good person, like it couldn't be them. And he also made the point too, is like, if they were gonna steal it, like you could do an easy job of stealing it. Like why give it up? You could have easily made off with it and nobody would have known. Which is like a decent point, but I don't know. Maybe they have
Like if you already had
some guilty conscience.
had the item and then you heard him announce it, like if you're gonna steal something that's like sick,
It's like almost like just stealing it for fun and then just dropping it somewhere else once you're like have no use for it.
Yeah, but who would do that?
well, that's
I
what I'm
mean, maybe
saying.
there's like
if
a kleptomaniac or shoplifter.
there's more of a chance you're getting busted if you're trying to re-drop it than if you just took it. I mean, you could never sell it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Unless you were selling it like to some private someone who you'd never be able to post it or whatever. But the community's so small, it's hard to sell like distinctive stolen garments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a Festivus miracle. It's a Festivus mystery. We don't fucking know. It's kind of like bringing us to the end, and almost we've already been on for like 2 hours. Eh?
Yeah, hour 40.
An hour 40. Okay, well let's wrap this shit up. So we so basically after the auction, $76,000 pair of jeans. Super stoked for Golden State. So it was Zip and Golden State, but Golden State paid 90%. Golden State is like 25 maybe. Young dude, only been in it for a few years for sure, and I'm friends with him, and I think he kills it. Like I've been telling the podcast, like I've always said, he's like my favorite IG because he posts like so much good stuff consistently, and always like showing his adventures and things, which I love. So I was super happy for him. So it was basically him that bought it. He bought 90% of it.
Yeah, I don't know why they ended up doing 90-10. Maybe he couldn't afford the last 10%.
Yeah,
It's not like they're going to split it like in ownership.
no, because they're probably going to sell it, right? Like unless they can't sell it, then they'll have to keep it, which is another. That's going to be even weirder.
Yeah, so maybe if they sell it, they split the profits 90-10. Or, yeah.
Yeah, they would totally, exactly. And then they also, I don't know if that you saw that, but they came up to me later and they were like, we made a deal on the Stifle overalls.
And something else, right?
And yeah, and the that motorcycle club vest, the first edition motorcycle club vest.
Yeah, Type 1.
Yeah. So
They spent like $100K. With buyer's premium, it's definitely $100K.
so what? So the buyer premium on top of
15%. Yeah, whatever the sold is. That's every auction
it's
though.
15%.
Yeah, some like other auctions, I think it's like higher. Like Sotheby's and Christie's, it's like maybe 15 to 25%.
So they had to put 15% on top of 76.
I guess, unless maybe Britt was nice.
Are you sure that 15% doesn't come out of the auction total?
I don't think so, because they said if you bought something for 100, it's 115.
Holy
Isn't that
motherfucker.
15%? Yeah.
That makes that 76 like 86 off the bat.
I don't know the math.
And then
It's
they
at least 80, and then they spend 10 to 15.
Dude, no, it's over. It's like another 10, and then they spend another 10. So yeah, they spend 100K.
Yeah. Which they could make back in the one sale if they do sell it to the men.
Yeah, they obviously know what the fuck they're doing. They're gonna make some money.
He was saying the Stifles they could get like 15 to 20. The Type 1, I don't know if he's selling, but he said like 1,500 to 2K.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about the end of it. Now we're freaking Giles in. Go eat some Mickey D's and we're heading to Albuquerque Airport.
You don't want to talk about the fire dancers?
Well, yeah, talk about them. Yo, actually, let Matt talk
Yeah,
about
Matt,
it.
tell us.
Matt was in a trance.
Oh, I was in a trance. That's an interesting way to put it. Drew and Dylan sitting there, eyes wide, in a trance, spellbound, eyes glazed over. No, the fire dancers were tight. You know, smoking hot babes.
Oh,
The
like,
guy was
like
pretty
literally.
cute too. I said he should have taken his shirt off, but
What'd you think of the band?
they were good.
I like that, man.
And what were they called again?
Sound
High
harmonies.
country hustle, some bluegrass kind of
Yeah, it was like a 4-piece stand-up bass, fiddle, right?
fiddle, guitar, and banjo.
Yeah, super rad. And yeah, fire dancers. There was like the one girl slayed it, the one that was doing like handstands and shit, and like
Then the other one guy kept dropping it on his head. It was scaring me.
Yeah, I can't.
He's
I was
burning
like,
himself.
Yo, you're like the rookie on the team, man.
The new hire.
And yeah, and like to speak more on Brit's friggin' energy, high country also. A lot of people are like sitting around the edge. Everyone's kind of vibing to the music, but a lot of, like the auction's still closing up while the band's playing, and it started to pour rain at the very end, so everyone kind of comes into the pavilion. Anyway, Brit's just kicking it up like the whole time, like the only one dancing for like a half an hour, just giving her. Friggin' gets up on the mic at a point, starts freestyling to bluegrass, which was like weird.
Kind of impressive.
The first freestyle was actually legit.
Yeah, he rhymed like it made sense. It rhymed.
And then he's calling up these girls to get like some backup singers, but they're like, "Yo, they didn't really sing. They just like stood up there with them for moral support." And then, I mean, by the end of it though, he had a whole group of people friggin' locking arms and swinging do-si-do.
Why don't we close it off with our final review, like a score of the Festivus?
Okay, Matt, what do you got?
Start us
1 to
off.
10.
And why?
10.5.
Yo. Okay, if you're
Bonus
going,
points.
If you're going by Brit score,
500.
I award Brit 100 extra points for the energy, for sticking with it, for doing pretty much everything he said he was going to do. No one got hurt. It was fun. And it was definitely like, it felt like a special thing, There was magic in the air, you could say. Felt like a once in a lifetime sort of thing, and really glad I came. And it would be sick if it happened again. If not, I'm glad I was able to be a part of it.
We'll always hold it in our hearts.
Yes.
Special moment in time.
And I'm sorry for snoring, guys, in the hotel.
So loud, so goddamn loud.
I brought earplugs for everybody. Should have grabbed some.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that these guys bunked up in the hotel.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
big spoons, so.
Dylan was big spoon. I was little spoon.
You like to switch it up sometimes. We had 2 beds, but one night we all 3 were in the same one.
Okay.
Drew was in the middle. I think I don't know. I think we poked fun a lot at it's easy to poke fun at Brit or the Festivus. It started off as a meme. You hear about it and you're like, the Denim Olympics, what the fuck? But I think it's literally a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 event. I think he somehow got everything done. Oh, another dead animal. He somehow got everything done. He's the freaking life of the party. He did everything he said he was going to do. He delivered good shit for the vendors, the fill a bag. He made it worth people's while. And I think a lot of people took risks coming out to the middle of New Mexico on a whim. And I think every person we talked to said they had no regrets, and they'd even double down and do it again. One guy, your friend, I got Polo saying he'd take his kids here next time.
Yeah, hell yeah. Me too.
Yeah, they can get them working in the snack shack.
Totally. They need to get their first job sometime.
So I think what Matt said, the Festivus is a once in a lifetime thing. I feel sorry for anyone who didn't make it because they didn't trust Brit.
That's another thing. I didn't know what to make of Brit just from seeing the interview with Drew. This guy's a psycho. What the fuck his deal is, but he seems like a really genuinely good dude with a good heart, and good man for putting that on.
Yeah, he's just unfiltered. I think for some people you might not mesh with it, but seeing it in full display, it was honestly amazing. Yeah, Festivus was a 10.
Yeah, my turn. So I also am gonna say 10. I don't know. I didn't have anything to gain from this monetarily, which is rare for me at an event. I didn't go in trying to make money, and I didn't even really try to go in to buy shit. I just bought a few things, and I was like, why not? But it wasn't my goal here. My goal was literally, finally, I got to go to an event where I could just hang the fuck out, unless my manager was bugging me to go do some shit, which obviously happened a lot.
Contractually obligated.
Thanks, Dylan. But that was all good too. So like you guys are saying, it's easy to look at these events from the outside, but until you get in it and you catch the energy and you see the vibe and you know, it is about the people. It's always about the people, right? People make everything either good or bad, right? And Brit is full of fucking positive energy, it seems like, and that's contagious. And he's so full of energy that he puts it out to everybody else, and it's contagious. And, you know, I had a great time with him, fucking around. I had a great time with Eric, screwing around. Met tons of new people, like a lot of people that I knew from online. Obviously, that's how it always goes. People that you know from online, they never get to finally meet. Finally met Matt, who's been editing the podcast for, I don't know, how long?
6 months?
6 months?
Five or six?
Yeah, crushing the podcast edits and all the real edits. And yeah, you know, sometimes I guess the takeaway from this is like, don't let other people's negative assumptions or whatever opinions like sway what you want to do, and like be open to new experiences and just go
go into things like this like with no expectations and just be open to experience something new and like rad and fun and fucking giver, people. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. Had a great time. I got no complaints.
I'm mentally and physically exhausted. That's my only complaint.
Yeah, Matt would have been sleeping if we didn't record this podcast right now in the car. But
Yeah, it kind of woke me up a little bit.
So we're going to sign off. We're going to say sayonara.
I'm gonna plug the documentary.
We're going to have like a really sick full doco coming out with interviews of people, all the events on film. We got everything recorded, eh, Matt?
Yeah, pretty much.
And it should be super sick. You know, it'll be a full immersion for your every sense, your eyeballs, your brain, your ear canals of Festivus. And yeah, you know, we streamed. So we need to talk about that. We fucking streamed we streamed the pile, and we streamed the live the live auction on Easy App. A lot of people tuned in and watched it. Go download that and all the other shit. Go check all the links down below. And thanks for tuning in, guys.
Peace.
Peace.